Hey guys, it's Rachel from thetrendytomboy.com and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be episode 3 of my Beauty Basics series. Today I'm going to be showing y'all how to do eyeshadow. We're going to take it from natural to something that's a little bit more glam. So let's get into it. If you've watched a couple of my videos, you kind of know that I start most of my looks the same way. And if you do that, building everything up is going to be just that much easier because you've just got this really specific, easy method to follow. I always start with a neutral shade. It kind of depends on what color look I'm going for, but I usually, most often, will use a neutral brown sort of taupe color. So I'm going to take that and put that in my crease. My eyes were already primed, just heads up, before I started. I used foundation on my eyelids to give my eyeshadow something to kind of stick to, and it makes my look last longer. So I highly recommend using foundation, or if you want to be like super extra, go buy a fancy primer. I think both work about the same, honestly, but I just use foundation because I know that I'm not going to get any funky discoloration, and because I used to use a primer back in the day and I am now allergic to it, weirdly. Anyway, foundation is super easy, especially if you have sensitive eyes like mine. So I'm going to continue filling in my crease. I'm focusing on just the crease. I'm not getting any color on the lid, and I'm going from the outward part of my eye inward, because you want the darkest part to be on the outer corner of your eye, because that's where the light naturally hits. You don't have a shadow on the innermost part of your eye. That should be the brightest, and the outside should be the darkest. The thing about makeup, what I think is almost ironic about it, is that we paint all of this stuff on, but we want it to still look natural. So like, you want your shadows to be where they would naturally be, but yet we're putting all this color on, you know? I just think it's kind of funny that we use makeup to enhance, I guess we just use makeup to enhance the natural beauty that we have, obviously, but we go to a lot of work to create a shadow that's already there. So I'm gonna blend that in. I always blend in between pretty much every step with my fluffy brush. So next, what I'm gonna do is add just a very light, natural looking shimmery shade. This shade almost kind of matches my skin. I'm just gonna put that on my lid where we didn't put any of the brown. Now, if you watched my natural, I can't talk, oh my gosh, my natural makeup routine tutorial, this is an excellent stopping point. You can just add a little bit of this brown to your lower lash line, pop on some mascara, and you are good to go. This is a look that I'll do, you know, for daytime, or if I'm in a huge hurry, or I love doing this if I'm doing something early in the morning, like maybe a breakfast or a brunch, and I'm like, you know, I really just want to sleep for the longest that I possibly can. So I'm gonna just do something really quick. So this is a super quick, super easy look, great for beginners, great if you are, you know, someone that's maybe a little bit younger and you want to start wearing makeup but you don't want to go full on. This is a really great, really easy look. It only takes 2 colors and it takes like 5 minutes. So that's like level 1, super basic, super easy. Now, if you want to take it to kind of the next level, I would say add some eyeliner. If you want to see kind of the full routine of that, I will link my basic beauty video down below, and that shows how I basically did this same eye look but with a winged liner. But for now, we're going to continue building this eyeshadow up so we can keep creating kind of a more and more intense look, and then we will add our eyeliner. So if you want to darken this up, I've got a slightly darker brown shade that I put on my same brush, and I put it also in that crease, kind of focusing almost on the top little bit of that crease. This just adds a little bit more definition and enhances that natural shadow that we talked about. Okay, I'm gonna go back with my fluffy brush and blend. You can already tell a little bit of a difference with that. This look just looks slightly more intense. To really kind of kick things up a notch, and to take this look a little bit maybe from day to night, we're going to take a dark brown I'm using my favorite, like kind of dark brown shimmery outer corner shade. It's called Black Heart. It is in my Naked 3 palette, which I will link down below. I'm getting a little bit of that on kind of a pointy looking brush so I can just dab it. And I'm gonna put that on my outer corner, not the crease. We're not gonna go, you know, full on cut crease here. That looks a little too dramatic for where we're at right now. But I'm just gonna put it right here on this outer corner. So as you can see, if you even just compare this eye to this eye, this one's looking a lot more amped up. And I haven't even blended out or anything yet, but I just wanted to kind of stop and show you all the difference and see, you know, so you can see exactly what that does. This is, I think, really simple. The key to it is just putting the right shades in the right place and then blending them out. But other than that, you are golden. So just outer corner, just gonna make sure they're even. That's another obvious must, you know. You gotta keep your eyeballs even. Okay, so now that those are semi-even-ish, I'm gonna take my fluffy brush. Just kind of gonna blend that out. We still want that outer corner to be most defined and the darkest, but I don't want it to be a harsh line. So you just wanna blend that in a little bit to the rest of the look. This is another stopping point that if you want just kind of, I don't know, a little bit more of a glammed up but still neutral, nothing too sparkly, nothing really, you know, super glam and crazy, pop a little bit of eyeliner on and you're good to go. But I am kind of working in levels, so to kind of go on to an even further step, I'm going to take a little bit more of that dark brown that I used, and I'm just going to continue to really pack that on, but only on that very outer corner. So since we've darkened up that outer corner, I'm going to also darken up my crease just a little to kind of continue to blend it. So I'm going to take a dark brown that's just a matte dark brown, not the sparkly one that I've already used. I'm just going to take a matte dark brown, put that on my brush, and just go from the outer corner into the crease. I just want to darken that up and define it a little bit more. The more you kind of start adding these shades, these darker shades, the smokier you're going to start to look. Which again, that kind of takes you from day to night. So again, you could even stop here. This is another great little stopping point. It's just a slightly darkened up version of our last sort of level, so to speak. So the next thing is if you really want to kind of glam yourself up. And what better way to get glam than with metallics and glitter. I love my metallics. Honestly, I don't do a ton of matte looks. If I'm really like getting, you know, super dolled up, I'm usually always gonna go with a metallic. I love these cream shadows. These are Bobbi Brown. I also have some that are from Revlon that I think are a really good sort of dupe that are obviously a fraction of the price, but this is just, you know, the color that I wanted to use today. It's a Bobbi Brown. It's kind of a bronzy color. I'm gonna take that on this flat brush that I have here. I'm gonna put that kind of on the center of my lid. I'm kind of just gonna pat that in and just gently blend it into that darker outer corner that I've already done. Let's do the other side. So I'm gonna take my finger and just kind of soften that a little and make sure it kind of gets exactly where it needs to be. I think these cream shadows are so pretty and they're really easy to work with. So I'm gonna add just a little more. And again, I'm focusing on this center part. I'm not going like, you know, all over. I'm not going in this inner corner. We'll get to that in a second. I'm just focusing mostly on the center of the lid. Then to blend that a little bit, just to make sure we don't have a harsh line between the metallic-y stuff and the crease, I'm gonna take my dark brown again, and I'm just gonna go back and define that. Now this part of the look is gonna be a little bit more advanced. You're gonna have to really learn how to, you know, blend your shadows in if you wanna get to kind of this point. That's just gonna be the most important thing, is, you know, putting something on and then realizing that, okay, to make this all look cohesive, I need to add a little bit more of the last shade, or I need to add a lighter shade now to balance that out. So it's just kind of about practicing and sort of developing that eye for makeup and knowing what you're missing or what you need, that sort of thing. So now that we've got this bronzy shade in the center of our lid, like I mentioned earlier, we define our crease and our outer corner because that's where the shadow naturally hits on most people's eyes. But you want to keep the inner corner bright. So how do we do that? We put the dark on the outside and we put a light shade on the inner corner. So I'm going to take a shimmery shade. I'm just going to take that and I'm going to go around the inner corner and blend it into the lower lash line. I'm going to do it on one side first so y'all can see the difference. I'm also going to blend it in a little bit on the top lid to that metallic shade to kind of give it almost like this ombre effect. So if you look between this eye and this eye, you can tell a difference, especially with the light. This is still brighter, you know, I mean, it's brighter than it would be normally just because there's nothing really right here. I left it kind of blank. But this one is even brighter yet because I added a little bit of that glittery stuff, but in a lighter and brighter shade. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more on this side, get that all nice and glowy, and then we'll do this side. I'm gonna take my fluffy brush one more time and just blend everybody in. Okay, so now we are about at that point where it is time to add some eyeliner. If you don't want to do eyeliner, you don't have to, but I think, you know, that's just another little way to kind of take something from a little bit more casual to va-va-voom, if you will. I'm gonna do it just like I always do. This is super easy, so even if you don't have, you know, the advanced eyeshadow, you can still use some of these methods on the eyeliner. I take the pencil and I always put it in my waterline on my top lid. I don't like to tightline my bottom lash line. I just, honestly, I find it to be very uncomfortable. I wear contacts and I don't know, I just feel like it somehow like rubs off into my contacts or something, and it's just not worth it for me. All right, so I've lined my eyes with my pencil, and if you are new to eyeliner, I always go in with a liquid liner, but that to me is probably like one of the most advanced things you can do because it takes a very steady hand and it's really easy to get messed up. And if you do mess it up, it's kind of hard to clean it off if you've got eyeshadow on and you don't want to mess up all of your hard work. I would recommend, you know, either starting out with just a pencil like I have here, or if you want something that is a little bit more defined but easier than a full-on liquid liner, I would recommend trying a gel. So you can get a gel that comes in a little pot very similar to these cream shadows, and it comes with a little brush, and you just use the brush to kind of define your eyes. It's just, the consistency is obviously a little bit thicker because it's a gel. It's a lot easier to clean up and it's a lot easier to handle if you're not used to, you know, kind of balancing and using your hands like that. Highly recommend that. But for those of you who are more advanced, I always use a liquid liner. But before I go in with a liquid liner, I'm going to take this look one step further. I generally use mostly browns, dark browns. you know, neutral taupe colors, that kind of thing, because I do feel that even if you have a kind of more dramatic look, the browns just tend to look a little bit more natural. But if you want to take the dark brown up just a little bit, I will take a little bit of black on the tip here of my brush, and I will put that on the very, very tip of the outer corner and blend it into that dark brown. And it just makes it look even that much more dramatic without just being, you know, black eyeshadow. So I'm gonna do that and show you all the difference. Okay, so you can see this eye and compared to this eye, this one just looks, it's slight, okay? I realize it's slight, but it still looks a little bit more, I don't know, dramatic to me and a little bit more defined than this one, which just looks a little bit more just kind of smoky. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more because I really wanna take this thing full drama. Take my fluffy brush, blend the top. I always like the top of my eyeshadow to be very soft. I always want to make sure, you know, it doesn't get too high up because I want my brow bone to be nice and bright, because like I've mentioned a couple of times, we want to keep things, you know, light where the light is naturally hitting and dark where the shadow naturally hits. So the light is going to pop off of this, and that's generally you know, where you want to leave it a little bit brighter. So now that that is complete, I'm going to add my liquid liner. If you do want to try out liquid liner, one thing that I recommend is you need to find something to kind of like be your anchor. So I always rest my elbow on my table and I put my pinky kind of right here on my cheek. And it just gives me something to kind of keep me grounded, so I'm not just like, woo, like trying to draw. It just gives me something to keep my hand nice and steady. All right, so you can see the difference between this eye and this eye. This one, the eyeliner just looks a little bit more crisp, a little darker, and a little bit more defined, which is why I like it. Okay, so this is already pretty high level stuff. The liquid liner, just even doing a straight line like this, can definitely be a challenge if it's not something that you've worked with regularly or if you don't have a lot of practice with it. But if you are really skilled with liquid liner, or if you're just feeling really ballsy, one thing that I like to do, that I do a lot, is a wing off of my liner. So I usually will always go ahead and I do a straight line on both eyes, and from there I will take out my little wing. So already got that done. We got both the straight lines, they're both looking pretty even. So now I'm going to start in with my wing. So I just kind of like to do a little flick. I'm not trying to be Amy Winehouse or anything. Sometimes that's really cool to do, but you know, for more everyday type stuff, I generally like to just do kind of a little flick. So the real trick with winged liner is just to make sure that your wings are, you know, the same height and the same length and whatnot. It's just like anything else. You just want everything to be even. So sometimes you have to build up a little bit more on one side, or you have to kind of push down a little bit on one side. It's just one of those things. Okay, I'm gonna call those two even. Liquid liner is probably gonna be sort of like the top level of difficulty on your makeup. Even for me, I have days where sometimes it works better for me than others. Sometimes I can get my little wing and I do it really quick and easy, and it's like, oh, boom, they're both perfectly even and everything is right in the world. But some days, you know, it takes me a little bit of extra time to really get in there and make sure they're both even, and sometimes I have to go in with a Q-tip and kind of clean up the edge. So this would be the point in which I would do my mascara, but we're gonna save that for another video. So thank you so much for watching today. Please subscribe and give me a good thumbs up if you want more videos like this in your inbox. Definitely subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.